This is the eighth dialogue between J. Krishnamurti and David Bohm in Gushtad, 1975.
I've had a letter from David Schoenberg, and we've sent the tapes of the Brockwood discussions to David Schoenberg.
Oh yeah.
And he had a few questions, and I think the major, he finds them very interesting, of course. He raised one question, which I could put like this. Say, if thought is fragmented, inherently fragmented, and yet thought has to be consciously aware of its own fragmentation, then we could ask the question whether the thought which is aware of its own fragmentation is also fragmented.
Do you start with that?
Yes.
Why do we accept that thought is fragmented?
Yes, well...
Why do we say that thought is broken up, has the faculty of breaking up?
I think one could go into one would have to look deeply into the nature of thought. I mean,
yes.
Aside from the fact that experience seems to fit it, which is not a very good reason.
No, that's a bit... Experience isn't a good criteria.
No. I mean, we do experience thought as fragmentary, but we have to understand
what is the real basic reason for thought to be fragmented? Why is thought limited, broken up?
Yes, well, I've been considering for some time the nature of thought. And see, one point about thought is that it forms a kind of, let's say it may be a combination, beginning as a reaction and becoming a reflection. Mm-hmm. Now, thought creates a certain on the basis of memory. Thought creates a certain imitation of some actual thing that happens independently of thought, right? And is that clear?
I follow that.
For example, it may imitate the appearance in your imagination, or the feeling, or the sound, or something else. Now, it is not possible in a reflection to capture the whole of what is reflected.
Yes.
It is always an abstraction.
It's always an abstraction, I agree.
Abstract means to take out, you see.
But we haven't answered my question.
Yeah, but an abstract...
Why is it fragmented?
But any abstraction is bound to be to be a fragment, you see.
You're saying thought reflects memory.
Yeah, memory reflects the content of memory.
And therefore, as it reflects, it's an abstraction.
It doesn't reflect all.
Therefore it's fragmentary.
Yes.
Yes.
It selects some things to reflect, and others are not reflected.
Would you put the question this way? Can thought see the whole?
Well, you see, does thought see? You see, that's another question which David Schoenberg raised. Does thought actually see anything?
Anything.
Right? And we discussed the other time in Brockwood that there is a conscious awareness. The thought can be consciously aware of something. Let's say that there is an awareness which involves perception. And now thought, I don't know how you could put it, but everything that we are aware of may go on to the memory. Is that right?
Yes.
And now when that memory responds, we have thought.
That's what we said, yes.
Right. So therefore, as I see it, conscious awareness is awareness recorded in memory and then reflected.
Yes, that's it.
Right.
So memory is fragmented.
Memory is inherently fragmented because it selects something.
Yeah. Memory is fragmented. Therefore, its reflection as thought is fragmented.
It's not the whole.
Yes.
The whole experience, for example, is not contained in the memory, subtle, the essences may be left out. Right?
Left out. Quite understand. Now, I want to let's dig deeper into
Yes.
it. Why is thought fragmented?
So that's partly because it's an abstraction, as we just said. And I think there's another, possibly you could find another reason that you see that in some sense thought is not fully aware of its own operation. You see, well, we could perhaps begin this way, that the brain has no sense organs inside to tell itself that it's thinking.
Correct.
You see, if you move your hand, there's a sense organ that tells you it's moving. Or if you move your head, you see the image moves, but it's corrected, so the world doesn't spin unless something is wrong with your balance. Right?
Balance, correct.
On the other hand, there are no such sense organs in the brain. You see, if you do an operation on the brain, once you pass through the skull, there's no sensation. And people may be conscious while they're operated on. It does not disturb them.
Yes, I read about.
And now, so let's say thought has is recorded, it's held in memory in the cells of the brain. And the cells of the brain react to produce some image or imitation.
Quite.
And now, while they first react, there is no sensation that they are reacting. See, a little later, you may sense the result of the reaction.
Yes, that's it.
Is that correct?
We are going. Yes, I understand that.
But then, when thought becomes conscious of that result, it may not know that it has produced that result.
Correct.
And therefore, it will attribute to that result an independent existence.
So, thought is a reflection of memory. That's one.
Yes.
The brain has no feeling apart from
Apart from the sense organs
sensory
of the body.
body. And therefore, brain stores up memory, and memory is partial, and therefore it is, and thought is partial.
Yes, and also thought is not fully aware of itself.
Of itself. Now, is that the complete answer?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know where you're investigating.
Yeah. But I was going to finish. I was saying that there was an inherent fragmentation here, because thought not being aware of itself and then suddenly becoming aware of its own result further down the line attributes that to something which is independent of thought.
Quite.
And thus it fragments itself, because one part of thought, see, it introduces two fragments because one part of thought has produced this result, and another part of thought comes along and says this is something else.
Yes, it's like this, quite.
Yes, and
Quite.
therefore the thought has broken up into two parts which are contradicting
Yes.
each other.
I think there's something more, isn't there? Why is thought fragmented? You can see what thought has done. All what it has reflected upon, what it has thought about, what it has put together, are all fragments.
Well, that's from experience, though, you see.
Yes.
As if we reflect upon our experience, we see the fragmentary nature of the activity of
Yes.
thought.
Yes. Is there a deeper reason for it, deeper thing behind it? Why is thought fragmented? I was thinking about the other day walking. Why is it fragmented? What is the nature of thought? What is thought? In not words, symbols, reflection of memory, the activity, the thing it has done, but actually, what is the substance of thought? Is it a material process, a chemical process?
Well, yes, it was.
All right. If it is
a
chemical
physical-
material process, why should it be fragmented?
Well, it's not.
Is perception a fragmentary process?
No.
Huh?
No, perception is not.
Not. Why?
Well, why should it be fragmentary?
If perception is the activity of thought,
Well, no, it didn't say that. You see.
now I'm just
Yeah.
thinking aloud. If perception is the activity of thought, then perception cannot see the whole.
No. I think thought contains a kind of imitation of perception, you see, which we call reflection. Or,
Yes. So thought imagines it perceives.
it contains, yes,
It contains or it supposes it sees.
yes, it produces a certain result which it supposes it
Yes.
sees.
But yet, why is it broken up? I understand all these, but there must be a deeper thing, isn't there? It may not be, but
No.
is thought seeking a result?
Well, it may be seeking a result. I mean,
An end to be achieved, an end to be gained, something which it can fulfill itself in and feel satisfied. And wait a minute, I'm just, I hope you don't mind. Why has civilization, mankind, given such terrific importance to thought?
well, I think that, in what your talk yesterday, I mean, you pointed out the issue of security,
Yes,
that thought gives, security in many senses. I mean, not only in the sense you said of psychological security, but also material security.
yeah, thought in itself is not secure.
Well, thought can't be secure.
That-
It's a mere reflection.
Yeah, reflection. Therefore, as it cannot be secure in itself and seek security outside,
But why does it seek security, you see?
oh, that's because in itself it is fragmentary.
Yes, but we're going
No,
around the circle.
go around in a circle.
And also, it does not explain why something which is fragmentary should seek security. So we have to go a little more slowly.
Slowly, yes. Why does thought seek security? Because thought is constantly changing, constantly moving.
But that doesn't, you see, nature is always moving too, but you see...
But nature is different.
yeah, I know, but we have to see the difference. you
Yes,
see.
yes.
You see, nature doesn't seek security, as
No.
far as we can tell.
Nature doesn't. No. Why does thought seek security? Is it in itself uncertain, in itself insecure, in itself is in constant movement?
But that doesn't explain why it's not satisfied to just be that.
Why? Because it sees its own perishable nature.
But why should it want to be imperishable?
Because that which is imperishable is its security.
Yeah, but I mean, I still feel we're going around in a circle. You see, it isn't. See, let's say that if thought were content just to say I'm insecure, I'm impermanent, then it would be like nature, you see. It would just
Yes.
say, well, I'm here today and tomorrow I'm
Yes,
different,
go.
right?
But I'm not satisfied with that.
But why not? You see, that's
Because is it attachment?
the thing. But what is attachment, you see? I mean, why should thought attach to anything? You see, why shouldn't it say, well, I'm just thought, you see,
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
I'm just a reflection, I don't, there's no need.
But you are giving to thought a considerable intelligence.
Well, but
If you say, I'm like nature, I'm just go, come, you follow? In a constant flux.
well, now you're saying that thought is mechanical, and that's why it's
Yes.
doing this. But then we have to see why a mechanism should necessarily do this, do you see?
Why should mechanism?
Yeah, seek security. I mean, a machine doesn't, you see, seek anything in particular. You see, we can set up a machine and
Of
it
course,
just goes, you see.
as long as there's energy, it'll go on working.
Yeah, and then it breaks down, that's the end of it.
That's the end of it, quite. Why does thought seek security?
Yes, you see, why should any mechanism want to be secure?
But does thought realize that it is mechanical?
No, but you see, but now that then comes the point. You say thought has made a mistake. You say something incorrect in its content, which is thought does not know it's mechanical. But does that mean that thought thinks it is not mechanical?
Now wait a minute, let's come back.
Yeah.
Do I think I'm mechanical? Me being my thought.
And I
or the
thought,
rest
but
of
thought may begin by not thinking about itself at all. You see, it just begins to think, and later it may think. It may tend. I think in general, thought does not think it's mechanical. But the other thing is, does it definitely think it is not mechanical? Do you see, or beyond the mechanism? Does it think it's intelligent? In other words,
So a mechanical thing doesn't get hurt.
no. It just functions.
Functions. It doesn't get hurt. It stops working. That doesn't mean it is hurt.
No.
Whereas thought gets hurt.
Yeah, and thought has pleasure.
Yeah. Pleasure, pain, all the rest
Yes,
of
and
it.
fear.
It gets hurt. Let's stick to one thing.
Yes.
It gets hurt. Why does it get hurt? Because of the image and all the rest of it. It has created the image, and in the thing that it has created, in that it is seeking security, isn't it?
Yes, but why? It's not clear why it ever began to seek that kind of security, you see.
Why it began.
You see, if it began as a mechanism, there was no reason in a mechanism.
But it never realized it is mechanical.
Yes, all right, but a mechanism doesn't know it's mechanical either, you see. I mean, like, the tape recorder doesn't.
Tape recorder doesn't realize
But it
it's
just
mechanical.
simply functions mechanically. You see, it doesn't attempt
Right.
to be hurt,
All interesting, isn't it? Why does thought not realize it is mechanical?
Yes, you see,
Why does it suppose that is something different from a machine?
yes, it may, in some sense, it supposes it has intelligence and feeling and, that it's a being.
It's a living thing,
A living thing rather than mechanical.
mechanic. I think that's the root of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It thinks it's living.
yes.
It is, and therefore it attributes to itself the quality of non-mechanical existence.
If you could imagine a computer that had been programmed, say, with the information that it was living,
Yeah, you could say I'm living.
and then it might try to respond accordingly. You see, but
But thought doesn't do that.
well,
Thought has it so is thought clever, giving itself qualities which it basically has not.
But why should it do that? You see, a machine
I understand.
doesn't do it. Yeah.
No, machine doesn't do it. But it does it because why does it do it?
Because even to some extent, if we were to take David Schoenberg's question, you were saying that thought somehow can realize it's mechanical, which would imply that it had some intelligence, you see.
Yes. Now wait a minute, just let's look. Does thought realize that it is mechanical, or perception sees that it is mechanical?
All right, then yes. But that would seem to be a change from what you said the other day.
I'm just
All right,
investing.
I can understand if we say there is perception, which sees the mechanical, fragmentary nature of thought, you see. Now, you see, I could say any machine is in some sense fragmentary. It's not alive. you know,
Alive, quite.
It's made of parts that are put together and so on. Now, if there is a perception, that thought is mechanical, then the intelligence is in the perception.
All we're saying, sir, let's get this clear. That thought has a quality, has in itself the quality of intelligence, perception, and therefore it perceives itself mechanical.
Yes, or that would seem strange.
Well, I'm just, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Or there is perception,
yeah,
which there is perception, and that perception says thought is mechanical.
yes. I mean, we call that truth, is that?
Yeah, but yes, there are two things in there.
Yeah,
Either the thought in itself has this sense of perception, sense of intelligence,
Yes.
and therefore realizes that it's mechanical,
yes,
or there is perception, which is truth,
yes,
and that perception says thought is mechanical.
yes. Now, the first idea seems to be a contradiction.
Yes. First idea.
Yeah.
Does this answer it? Does this answer why thought is fragmentary?
Well, you see, if thought is mechanical, then it will have to be fragmentary.
Who realizes that it's mechanical?
Well, if we say perception sees it's mechanical.
Oh, wait a minute, I just want to
Yeah.
explore. Can thought realize that it's mechanical?
Well, that's the question where
Yeah, that's what
it's not clear, you see.
Can thought realize it's mechanical?
Because, you see, the other time it seemed you were saying that you were saying there would be a conscious awareness of the nature of thought, and thought would then, come
So,
to
and we
order.
must go back to something else then.
Yeah,
The things that contains consciousness are put together there by thought.
yes,
And all the content of that consciousness is the product of thought. Consciousness is thought.
yes. Well, it's the whole process.
Yeah, the whole and we won't. Right. Does thought see all this? Or there is pure perception without thought, and then says thought is mechanical.
But then how does thought know what to do? You see, we were discussing also the other day that when there is perception of truth,
Action takes place.
action takes place, and thought becomes aware of that action.
Yes. I mean, yes, that's right. That's right. Let's get at it.
Now, but in becoming aware of that action, is thought mechanical, you see?
Yes. No, thought then is not mechanical.
You have to say that thought changes its nature.
Its nature.
All right, well, that's the point we have to get hold
Yeah.
of. You see, to say
Yeah.
thought does not have a fixed nature.
Yes.
Is that the point?
Yes, sir.
Because you see, I think that much of the discussion tends, if you use one word, it tends to imply that that has a fixed nature, the word thought. But now thought can change.
Yes, thought does change.
Yes, but I mean it can change fundamentally.
Fundamentally. Wait a minute, let's
not
get
just
at this.
superficially.
Let's get at this. I'm beginning to see something. We're both beginning to see something. We say perception, total perception is truth. That perception operates in the field of reality. And therefore there...
Well,
Wait, go slow. I'm sorry, I made a mess.
No, I'm just saying that we didn't say that the perception or truth operates directly in the field of reality. We said the other day that it operates in actuality.
In actuality. Now, wait a minute. There is perception which is truth. That can only act in actuality. That which is actual.
Yes.
Actual being care, isn't it?
What?
Actual, the word actual.
Act, to act.
Is act.
Yeah.
The action in the field of reality, isn't it? Look, sir, put it down the other way. I see something.
Yeah.
I perceive something totally, which is not the act of thought.
Yeah, so that is a direct act.
Yeah, that is direct perception.
Yes.
Then that perception acts.
Acts directly.
Directly.
Without thought.
That's what I want to find out.
Yes. To begin, without thought, perception acts directly. As we say, perception of danger.
Yes, perception.
Acts immediately.
Immediately.
Without thought.
That's right.
But then thought may become aware of the act.
Thought then become aware of the act and translate it into words.
And into further structures.
Further structure.
Yeah.
Right. We are getting slowly. That is, there is a total perception which is truth. That perception acts in the field of reality. That action is not the product of thought.
Yes.
But thought, because it is an action of the whole, thought has undergone a change.
All right, we have it now. You see that the point is that if there is an action in the whole, and you say thought is part of the whole, thought is contained within the whole. Is that what you're saying? And therefore it is changed.
No. I must go back. Seize the whole. That's the truth.
The whole is different.
Whole is different.
Because of the perception.
Because of perception. It is not fragmented.
No, it's one whole.
One whole.
But different.
Yes. And it acts.
Yeah.
The action is not the product of thought.
Yes.
It's not put together by thought. That's clear. Then what is the relationship of thought to that act?
Well, it seems, we could say that, there are several points. One thing is to say that thought is a material process.
Yes.
Based on the brain cells.
Yeah.
Now, the action of perception will somehow act on the brain cells, won't it?
That's the point. It does. Quite right, sir.
And therefore thought must be different.
Different. Quite right. That is, sir, I see there is you see something totally. And that total perception is different from the fragmentary perception, which has been the nature of the activity of the brain. When there is this total perception and action, it must affect the brain cells.
Right, well, we suppose we go there. And in affecting the brain cells, it may change the nature
Nature
of
of
thought.
Just let's hold a minute.
Yeah.
It's rather tenuous.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
And now
Yes,
we
yes.
could say that
yes, quite right.
now once
It is a shock. You follow?
Wow.
It's something new,
Yeah.
totally new to the brain.
yes.
Hmm?
Yes, and the brain, therefore perception as being total penetrates the physical
Yes,
structure of the
structure
brain.
of the brain. If you see, let's be simple about it. If you see what? Greed or no. Division, fragmentation is tremendous danger. See it. Doesn't it affect your whole way of thinking?
Yes, but I think that brings us to the next question, that thought has developed a way of preventing this effect from taking place.
That's it. That's what I
It
want
may
to get at.
momentarily happen.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
That thought has
Thought resists it.
it resists, but why? See, a machine would not resist.
No, because it's habit.
But what is habit? We don't have to go into that.
Yeah, it is conditioned to that. It is habit. It remains in that groove. And perception comes along and shakes that.
Yeah, but thought stabilizes itself.
Yeah.
It holds to a fixed form.
Too grey, too whatever it is.
You see,
That's right.
but I was thinking that, you see, if we look at it this way, that thought hasn't got a fixed nature. It may be mechanical or it may be intelligent. And
No, I wouldn't give that word intelligence to thought
yeah,
for
well,
the moment.
before we were saying that, you
Yeah.
see. But I mean, you're saying, but before we said thought may not have a fixed nature and needn't be mechanical.
Yes.
Now,
Thought is mechanical.
yes, but
Thought is functions in grooves.
yes,
Thought lives in habits, memories,
yes,
and a total perception does affect the whole.
that's right. But then after, as a result of this perception, thought is different, right?
Yes, thought is. Wait a minute. Is thought different because of? Yes.
Yes, the perception has penetrated the physical
That's right.
structure of the thought and made it different.
Yeah,
but
different.
no, you don't want to say it's intelligent. But let us say that if thought were just a machine, it would not cause trouble. You see, if thought behaved just like an ordinary
An
machine,
ordinary machine it wouldn't no trouble at all.
no trouble. I mean, it would just function. Now, thought is, for some odd reason, is trying to do more than behave like a machine.
Yes.
And
Thought is trying to do more than a machine.
see, suppose if we could look at it again, there is perception and awareness, and this may be recorded in thought. To see whatever happens. See if perception affects the physical. There are two things. One is perception affects the physical structure of the brain, and this effect is somehow recorded in the content of memory.
Mm-hmm.
And memory takes.
That's right. Memory takes charge.
Yes, it holds it. And now, any such recording is a kind of imitation. You see, every recording machine is a kind of imitation. You see, it's not merely that thought is mechanical, but also that it contains a process of imitation to record information. You see, like the tape recorder records some sort of imitation of the structure of sound in the magnetic form, which again is recreated as sound, as imitating the original sound.
Original sound, quite.
Now, you see, thought will has the capacity to imitate whatever happens because of the recording, right?
Yes, that's right.
Is that correct?
Now, just a minute, sir.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I want to go back a little bit. You perceive
Yes.
totally about something. There's total perception of greed, let's say for the moment. Because of that total perception, your activity is non-mechanical. Just mention.
Yeah.
The mechanical being, the pursuing of greed by thought, as thought.
But isn't there another part of thought which is mechanical, which is necessary? You see, for example, the information contained by thought.
Wait, I'm just coming.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You perceive totally the nature and the structure of greed, and because you perceive it, there is the ending of it. Ending of it.
Mm-hmm.
What place has thought then?
Well, it still has a mechanical.
No, you're finished.
No,
Wait,
but,
wait, sir.
but thought used in ordinary function still has a
No,
place.
you're finished. You are
Right.
not greedy.
Yeah, but thought also includes things that are other than greed. You know, like the practical thought.
Yes, I mean, wait, you're not greedy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're not greedy. That reaction, that momentum, that habit, that mechanical is over. What place is thought?
Well, where you?
Huh?
I say, well, thought has some place. If you
What
say,
for?
you want
What
to find
for?
your way.
What for? I'll get, when I need a coat, I'll get it. But when there's no greed.
No, but thought is not identified with greed. You have thought which is rational.
I don't quite follow.
Well, you say thought, greed is irrational thought,
Yes. Greed is irrational.
right? But now there's rational thought. For example, if you want to figure out something, or you want,
No.
What?
No. When you see the totality, when you perceive the totality of greed,
Yeah.
something has happened to you.
Yes. But are you saying that there's no more thought? Do you say?
What thought is not necessary.
Well, then how do you find your way? And
Find
how do you
my
use
way?
memory? How do you use memory?
Look, I'm no longer greed.
Right.
I have no need for thought in the field of perception, and therefore thought doesn't enter into it at all.
Not into perception, but it still has a place. Apparently, you say.
Has it?
Well,
Has
for
it?
example, if you want to know the way from here to wherever you want to go.
No, I'm taking greed.
Oh,
Let's
but it has
stick
no
to-
place. Yes, it has no place in greed. I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm sticking to.
Oh, but I mean, you were saying before it has no place. You see.
No, I'm saying it has no place in greed.
Right.
Where there is total perception, thought has no place.
In the perception.
No, not only in the perception, thought doesn't exist anymore with regard to that.
Yeah.
You perceive that all belief is irrational. I mean, there's a perception of this total structure of belief, and it's out. Belief has no place in your thought, in your brain. So why do you want thought there?
We're not say I want it, but we'll say that there is a tendency that thought may have.
No, it won't. That's the whole difference. If I see belief, if I perceive the total nature of belief, then it's over. Then where does thought come into that? Which thought has created? I wonder if I'm conveying something. Look, sir, I perceive for the moment I'm using I perceive totally the nature of belief with fear, all the rest of it involved. And because there is total perception, belief as such doesn't exist in my thought, in my brain, in nothing. Now, where does thought come into it?
Well, not at that part. No.
It's finished. Wait. So thought has no place when there is total perception. Same thing with greed. Same thing with fear. Thought operates only when there is a necessity for food, clothes, shelter. What do you say to that?
Yes, well, that may be right. Now,
I want to question. I want to go into
but
it.
you see, let's look at see what we started with, which was to understand why thought
What is?
has done what it has done. You see,
yeah.
In other words, when there is total perception, then there is no place for thought. You see, now
That's something, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something.
now when we come to practical affairs, you could say we don't have total perception, but we depend on information which has been accumulated and so on, right? And therefore we need thought.
There, yes.
Yeah, there, yeah.
I need to build a house.
Yes, and you depend on accumulated information. You
Of
see,
course.
you cannot just directly perceive how to build a house, do you see, right? Now,
Right.
but see, we say for psychological matter.
That's it.
What?
That's it.
What?
Psychologically, when there is total perception, thought doesn't enter into the psychological process.
Yes, it has no place in the psychological perception, you see, although it may have a place in material perception.
Right.
Now, but still, we would like to come back to answer, the question raised by David Schoenberg, which is why has thought? See, I think people will always ask, why has thought gone wrong? You see, why has it done all these strange? Why has it pushed itself where it has no place?
Could we say that thought creates illusion?
Yeah, but why should it? You see, why does it want to?
Why does it want to?
Why? Why? Even more deeply, why? What makes it happen? You see,
Because thought has taken the place of perception.
But why should?
Why
it
should it?
Yeah.
Why should thought assume that it sees the whole?
Or even that it sees anything. You see,
Yes. Another interesting word. Does it happen, sir? Let's look at it a little bit. That when there is total perception, that perception having no movement of thought as time and so on, such a mind uses thought only when necessary.
yes.
And otherwise it's empty. Otherwise,
Yeah, I wonder if we could put it differently. That such a mind, when it uses thought, it realizes that this is thought, and it never.
never goes.
Never supposes it's not
that's right.
thought, right?
That's right. That it is thought, nothing else.
That's if it's only thought, it's not. It has only a limited significance.
That's right.
And,
That's
and we needn't consider it that important. You see,
That's right.
But you see, I think the danger is that there's the mind in which it does not realize that this is thought. You see, this is the something happens. See, thought works. See, let's try to put it like this. Suppose that somebody there's joy or enjoyment, and now slightly later there comes thought which imitates it and remembers it. And the difference, you see, then that, it's a very subtle imitation, and
Yeah.
and therefore it treats it as the same. Do you see what I mean?
Quite.
And therefore it begins to get caught in its own
In those-
pleasure, and the pleasure which it mistakes for joy or enjoyment.
Quite.
And now, after a while, it becomes a habit, and then when the pleasure is not there, there comes a reaction of pain and fear and so on,
Oh, yeah.
and all this trouble starts. Now, so at some stage, you see, there is this mechanical process which somehow loses. It does not acknowledge or does not know that it is mechanical.
Yes.
Yes.
So, would you say also, man never realized until recently, I'm just asking, that thought is physical and chemical. And therefore, it assumed tremendous
Importance.
importance.
Well, yes, let's look into that. That is, would you say, in general, it's certainly true that it's only recently that science has shown the physical and chemical properties of thought. Now, but suppose we go back to the past. Would you say that nobody, or perhaps some people understood, but
Maybe.
in general, most people did not?
Did not.
I mean, so...
I'd like to say, take people like so-called Jesus.
Well, yeah, but we don't know whether they even existed. So.
That's just it. All the saints function on thought.
Or what about Buddha, for example?
Wait a minute. Again, according to the tradition, there's the Eightfold Noble Path.
Yeah.
Is right thinking.
But he may have meant that free thinking mechanically.
Mechanically. That's it. Therefore, we
Yeah.
can't take anybody in the past.
Why? Because we can't be sure what
What they meant.
Right. And it was interpreted and so on.
Of
and
course, of course.
You can't ask him what he meant.
No.
Now,
Is that the reason? Because man thought said, I'm the only important thing.
yes, but how did it come to say that, do you see?
Because there was no perception.
No, but then why wasn't there?
No, man thought didn't realize, or thought wasn't told that it was physical and chemical.
Yes, well, thought did not know it's physical and chemical. Therefore, thought, when it thought about itself, mistook itself for... You see, I was trying to put it that in some sense, thought, when there is intelligence, and intelligence acts when truth acts, then thought must follow that action, right?
Action, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, but suppose, or when there's enjoyment, and so enjoy. But now, suppose thought creates from memory an imitation of all that.
But he didn't think it was imitation.
No, that's right. I'm trying to say, it didn't know it was imitation. It was too subtle for thought to know it was an imitation.
That's it. And also, because thought, from the beginning, said, I'm the only God.
Well, now I wonder if that didn't come a little later. You see, that,
I don't know how it came.
No, but I meant that when it, you see, the first thought mistook itself for joy and intelligence and goodness and so on.
Yes.
And then it realized its impermanence and therefore
began to
question. And then it invented the idea that there's a self which is always there.
That's
which
right.
produces all thought, and truth and perception and so on. You see that you see. I think, suppose somebody, you often give this example, is enjoying the sunset, and there may be a small accompaniment of thought, which is harmless in itself.
Yes, flutters round.
It flutters around, but now, as it builds up, by habit, by repetition, and it gets stronger and becomes comparable to the other one in intensity.
Right.
And then thought does not see this imitation, and it treats it as the genuine.
Yes. So are we saying this? that thought never, no man has never been told or realized that thought is physical and chemical.
Well, it isn't. That is not enough, because you see, science has been saying that thought is physical and mechanical, but that in itself hasn't changed anything.
No. But if you perceive that,
Yes, to perceive it. You see, it was not enough for science to know that thought is mechanical,
No.
or physical, or chemical.
no, that's right. But it's only recently.
Yes.
And the habit has conditioning, and the habit has been thought is the primary thing in life.
Yes. Well, even when it was called non-thought, it was still
Yes.
thought. You
Yes,
see, in
it
other
was
words,
still thought. That's right.
it was some imitation.
Of course.
So that is, thought created imitations of the primary thing in life, and then said that's the primary thing in life.
yeah.
You see, and now thought never knew that it was mechanical.
That's right.
And therefore never knew that its own process, you see, let's try to put it slightly differently. Thought it never had any reason to suspect that what it created was not the prime thing in life,
That's right.
because even if it could see itself creating it, right, it would
Right.
not know that
It
there's
would-
anything wrong with that.
Right. So what are we saying now? Thought never realized it was limited. Thought never realized that which it created was a chemical and physical thing. Is that what we're saying?
Well, that was part of it, yes.
Part of it. And we are saying also then where there is total perception, a change in thought takes place.
All right, now, and what happens to thought then?
Thought, being mechanical, can only operate mechanically. Not it doesn't interfere. There is no psychological entity which thought can use.
Yes. Well, now suppose we clear this up a little bit, because let's say that thought there's a new invention, you see, now, which we discussed before, and something new comes into thought, into the field of reality, but we say that might be a perception.
That I think
But
it
then
is.
thought is, because of that perception, thought is different, but
Yes.
it remains mechanical but different.
That's right. That's what exactly we are saying.
Yes, it just changes the order of its operation through that perception.
Yes.
And therefore, the creativity is not in the thought itself, but in the perception.
Perception. That means thought, it means, let's get clear, thought has created the me. The me has become independent of thought.
Or apparent.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And the me, being still part of the thought, is the psychological structure, and perceptions can only take place when there is no me.
Yes, well, we could try to go into that, just make it more, clear.
Yes. I think it's right.
That's
Go
right.
on.
You see, the me, this imaginary structure, this, well, it's real as well, but, as we've been saying, but, see, the me involves some sort of center, doesn't it?
The me, certainly.
And
the
the
me
center, you see, is a very old form in thought that it's one of the most fundamental forms, right? It goes to the animals, probably have through a center.
Yes, sir. Center.
And the
family center and so on.
Yes,
so on.
and also the geometric center. You see, when people use the center with the rays emanating out as a very powerful symbol, you see the sun with its rays.
Yes.
And this had a tremendous...
The center.
The center has a tremendous effect on human thought,
yes.
you see. And,
yes, sir.
And this center has the meaning that of totality. You see, that one point touches everything, you see. In other words, the center is a symbol of the contact with the whole, you see.
Yes.
And I think that's the way the self is considered in thought, that it perceives, the self is perceiving everything. You see.
Everything. That's right.
The self is
That is,
determining
explain
everything.
it, sir. Would you explain it scientifically? The center is, as you said just before,
in contact with everything. It radiates into everything, you see.
the center radiates like the sun.
Yeah,
Of course, they worship the sun
because
of this radiation.
that's right. The sun was the image of themselves, you see.
Yes, yes, yes.
Only a bigger one, you see.
Yes, of course. So there is a center. Hmm? Is that center independent of thought?
Well, it would seem the center is thought.
Yes, that's it.
But it's a basic structure in thought. We think in terms of centers, do you see?
That's right.
In physics, for example, each atom is a center.
That's why it's fragmented.
Why? All right, let's get it clear.
There it is.
Because we think through the center?
Through the center.
Well, let's get it more clear. You see, let's say in
We're
physics,
getting it.
one of the basic theories of physics is to think that the world is made of atoms.
Mm-hmm.
Each atom is a center, a force, which connects to all the other atoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the opposite view is there's a continuous field, you see, and no center. You see, those are the two views that physics has studied and has pursued them in different forms. Now, you're saying that if we think through the center, there's going to be fragmentation. But you say the atomic view is fragmentary then?
Must be.
Yes. Although,
So, sir,
yes.
you see what we're getting at?
Yes.
The basic reason of fragmentation is that we function from a center.
Yes. Well, it's not. We must think from in terms of centers because that may be useful.
Yes, that may be.
Because the sun is at the center of the solar system.
Yeah, of course.
But we think we function. We psychologically function. You see,
From a center.
And see, physically, we are forced to function from a center because the body is the center of our field of perception.
Of course, of course.
But
Yes.
But psychologically, we form an imitation of that.
Yes.
We have the thought of the center, which is probably, I think Jung called it an archetype. It may be millions of years old, right? Going back to the animals.
The animal, quite.
And now that form is useful in physically, but then it was extended psychologically, right? To think of, right?
That's right, sir. That's why thought is fragmentary.
Well, is there a thought which does not function from the center? It always has to?
Has to. Because thought is memory from a center.
Well, why? Let's try to explore that. Why does it have to be from a center? Do you see? Why couldn't there be memory without a center?
How can there be?
Well, let's...
Just memory, like a computer.
Well, why couldn't there be?
If it was... But there is the psychological center.
But it's not clear to me why there cannot be memory which is just memory, you see. Just information.
Yes, there can be information.
Yeah, but does that have to have a center?
Why should it have a center?
No.
If it's merely information, why should it have a center?
No, there's no center. Right? But you see, why does thought... See, it's not clear yet to me why thought had to form a center. Do you see? I mean, we knew there was a center, but why it had to psychologically give the center such importance, you know?
Because thought never acknowledges to itself that it's mechanical.
Well, let's try to bring that out. You see, thought was unable to acknowledge that it was mechanical. And now why does that call for a center?
But thought has created a center.
Yeah, but why? But it not only creates the center, but see, the center was there. The idea of the center was there just for practical purposes, anyway. Mm-hmm. And now, but thought used that idea for itself, psychologically for itself.
Yes.
Now, why was it doing that?
Because for a very simple reason, thought said, I can't be mechanical. I must be something much more.
And how does the center make it more then?
Because that gives it a permanency to me.
Well, maybe we should try to make it more clear. You see that the center gives this permanency. You know why?
Why?
Yeah.
Thought has created this
Yes, the microphone.
microphone. That is permanent in quotes,
Yeah, relatively. Yeah.
relatively. And here, thought created me as a permanent entity.
Yes, but why did it pick on the center to be permanent?
Perhaps it picked it up because the sun,
Yeah, the sun
as the center of the universe, and if there is a center, as you said, joins everything,
joins everything. Yes, it gives unity. And
unity, family, and so on, so on. But that center becomes totally unnecessary when there is complete perception.
it is necessary, you say, when there's not complete perception.
That's what's happening.
It's
not
what's
necessary.
happening. No, it's not.
That's not necessary, but that's what's
It's
happening.
happening. You see that the thought, trying to, not realizing it is mechanical, not able to realize it's mechanical, the thought began to treat its own products as living.
Living, that's
And
right.
seeing their instability, their impermanence, it
Of
tried
thought.
to establish something permanent.
Permanent, quite right.
And it found the center useful for trying to do that, right?
Yes.
Because
yes.
it made a connection with everything. In
That's
other
right.
words, see, it's a form around which everything can be put and hung together.
The center, yes,
The center.
quite.
So therefore, see, if everything is falling apart, left to itself, thought falls apart, right? And then you establish a center, it holds it all together. And,
That's right.
and you say that...
My family, my house,
that's
my
right.
country, my...
And then
yes,
that's permanent, right? So you say, I have a permanent center. In other words, thought has hit on the idea of a permanent center to hold everything together. And in
Together.
fact, that's what we do all the time to organize, to have a center around which everything can be
It's like
organized.
an
right?
executive, like any
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
That's right, sir.
Mm.
So when you perceive something totally, center is non-existent. And yet you can now wait a minute. Doesn't it bring in something? When you perceive something, doesn't that include everything?
All right, let's go slowly, man. Oh.
I mean, isn't that the central thing that holds, that connects everything?
What to perceive?
Perceive.
The act.
The act. This is false.
Right, well, let's go. Now I see something different then. You see
Yeah.
that the act of
Ah,
perception unites everything.
Yes, that's right.
And thought is imitating that by
Yeah.
a center that unites everything.
That's
And
right.
the center, and to the center it attributes perception
Perception. That's
as
right.
well as
The observer and so on.
and also the thinker. It also attributes its own origin to that center, and
Center.
therefore it attributes truth to itself,
That's right.
and therefore life and so on.
Is there, sir, perception of greed, of fear, perception, or total perception, which includes everything? You follow what I mean?
Oh yes.
So it isn't perception of greed, perception of belief,
Yes.
perception of organized.
Well, let's say there's perception of that which is, of what is, right?
Yes,
Right.
perception. There's only perception.
There's perception, and that, right now there's a question we might clear up, you see, because we said truth is that which is,
Yes.
right?
There's only perception,
Yes, now
not the perceiver.
there's no perceiver, but perception is also that which is, isn't it?
Yes, and the perceiver is the center.
Yes, well, the perceiver is, thought attributes to the center the quality of being a perceiver,
Perceiver,
as
that's
well
right.
as a thinker and an
Yeah,
actor.
and all
and
the
so
rest of it, experience and so on.
You see, I think that it might be helpful, let's say that this business of it, see, one of the functions of thought is to refer or attribute. You see that if you have, for example, referred pain, you see that although the tooth may be decayed on one side, it's referred to the other, and the gum will swell up on the other side.
Yes.
You see, So the point is that thought can attribute anything to anything,
Yes, quite
refer
right.
anything to anything, and
Yeah.
that's part. You see, if we hear a sound, we may say it comes from here or there. We may have to correct it. We don't know exactly how to attribute it, and therefore, when thought, say, has invented the center, and then it may attribute various qualities to that center,
Yes,
such as thinking,
that's
and,
right.
feeling.
That's right, sir. That's right.
And if there is pain, it will attribute the pain to the center, or if there's pleasure, the pleasure. So therefore it becomes alive. You see, so could you say that suffering arises there when pain is attributed to the center?
Of course, of course. As long as there is a center, there must be suffering.
Yes, because the suffering is not. See, when there's no center, then the pain is merely in thought.
Merely physical.
It's either it's physical or it's memory, which is nothing.
Yes, which is nothing.
But if the memory of pain is attributed to the
To
center,
the center, of course.
then it becomes real. Apparently, it becomes something big.
So we are seeing something. That is why I'm asking, if there is total perception, thought has no place
in that perception,
in that perception.
and yet thought that perception acts, and thought may have a place in the action, is what we were saying the other day.
Yes. No, let's get this clear. I'm not quite. Let's get. There is total perception in that there is no thought. And that perception is action.
Yes, and that will change the quality of thought.
Of thought.
By changing the brain cells.
Yeah, and so on. We've been that. Now, thought has only a mechanical function.
By mechanical, we mean more or less not intelligent. You see, in the dictionary they are given as more or less opposites.
Yes. Thought has...
It's not creative, not intelligent.
No. It's purely mechanical.
Yeah, creative is also taken as the opposite of mechanical.
Yeah. Creative, opposite. You're quite. So if it is merely mechanical, then it can be... it can operate mechanically in everything, without any psychological center.
Yes. Well, then it would be like this computer that...
Yes. But the computer, as we said too, if the computer is told this is your bucket,
yes,
and later on says it's not your bucket, it has no emotional...
No, it's merely contradictory information.
Yes, contradictory information, that's all. Similarly here.
Yes,
So you see, we are giving, aren't we, sir, tremendous importance to thought.
well, thought is giving importance to itself.
Thought is giving to itself tremendous importance. When perception takes place and thought becomes mechanical,
Well, when thought acknowledges it.
acknowledges the mechanical, then there is no problem.
Yes. Yes, you see, I mean, but we're talking with two views in mind. One was with this point in mind, and the other was to understand fully how thought
Yes,
got off
sir.
on the
Yes,
wrong
sir.
track, you see.
Yes, sir. I can see how it's gone on wrong track.
Now,
The center.
yes. Well, I think even from the beginning, there was the beginning where thought mistook itself for something living and creative,
Yes.
and then it established the center in order to make that permanent,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then that gave it tremendous importance, you see. And see, the combination of the two,
Combination of one.
what the thought mistook itself for something intelligent and
Yes,
alive.
that's right,
And,
that's right,
And
that's right.
its own imitations
That's
for
right.
enjoyment and for intelligence and love and so
Yes.
on. And then seeing this was impermanent, and see, it naturally wanted to make it permanent, and therefore it found the center as the way to try to do it,
Quite.
because the center was actually the practical way of trying to organize things permanently.
Quite right, sir. Quite right. That's right. So, now we've answered why thought is fragmentary.
Yes, well, why make it more clear? Why is it fragmentary? You see now. I mean, I've answered why it's gone wrong, but you have to sort of, just to finish it, I mean, why is it, I mean, to make it, spell it out, I mean.
Because of the center.
Yes.
The center thinks, thought created the center as a permanency, and that center forms as a unit to hold everything together.
Yes, everything in the whole world.
In
The
the
whole
whole-
world is held together by the center.
By the center.
Because if somebody feels his center goes, he feels the whole world is going to
Going
pieces.
to pieces. That's right. That's right.
Right. So the center is the same as the world, right?
Oh, that's right. So thought is fragmentary.
Well, the thought is fragmentary. Now, let's see. The thought is fragmentary. I mean, it's not quite clear why it's fragmentary. See, it's clear why it's wrong, but
No, because it has separated itself from the thing it has created.
yes, now that's the point. So let's make that very clear, you see. That thought has attributed to itself, it cannot separate itself.
No, yeah, sorry.
It has attributed to itself a
center.
center which is separate from itself, whereas in
That's-
fact it
it
is
is-
the center.
yeah.
It has created the center, and it is the center.
It is the center.
But it thinks of itself, or attributes to that center
That's
the
right.
property of
Quite,
being
that's it.
alive and real, and
That's right.
and so on.
That's right.
Yes, and that is a fragmentation
That's the basic thing.
and from there follows. See, let's may as well spell it out.
Yes,
because
spell
it's-
it out, sir.
From there follows the necessity for the rest of the fragmentation of life, because in order to maintain that those two are different, thought must then break up everything to fit that. You see
Yes,
that
of
it introduces confusion, because you see either it separates things that are not separate, or it puts together things that are different. You see, in order to maintain that fiction, that the center is separate from thought, everything else has to be cut to fit that.
Fit that. All the cloth has to be cut. All existence has to be cut to fit that center.
Yes, you see, for example, if somebody identifies the center with, you see, attributes to the center the quality of being a certain nation, you see, then he must then distinguish another nation as not
Right.
belonging to the center. So
Center.
he fragments something that is one, namely mankind, in order to hold the center together.
Center. Quite right, sir. That's it, very clear now.
And then, therefore, the entire world is fragmented indefinitely, shattered into fragments.
Fragments. I want to get something else too
Yeah.
on this. See, is perception from time to time, not from
Moment to moment.
moment to moment. No, I'm not. No. I perceive the nature of belief. It's finished. I perceive there is perception, total perception of fear. That's finished.
Yes.
And there is total perception of greed. That's finished. Is that perception one after the other? Or is there a total perception of the whole thing?
Well, let's go into that slowly. And see, if
Yeah.
there were a total perception of the whole thing, then what would be there left to do? You see, that's one.
That's what I want to find out.
See, let's go. You see, this raises the second question. This is more or less the second question that David Schoenberg brought in. You see that he was raising this question. He says, let us say you went through. You put it in the last discussion of Brockwood, that it was like Columbus discovering America, that somebody else doesn't have to discover
Go through all
America.
the...
But then what does he do that is creative? Do you see that is corresponding to what you did? Do you see?
Now, just a minute, sir, just a minute. First, let me answer this question.
Yeah.
I will come to it. Is perception
A whole, yeah.
whole?
If there's
Therefore,
one perception,
it's clear the field.
the entire field is clear.
Entire field.
And then what is there left
Now,
to
wait
do?
a minute. Let's see
Right.
if that is so.
Yes.
So it has got to go through greed,
Yes,
belief,
fear.
fear, pleasure. The whole thing is clear the deck.
Well, you're saying that mind may perceive the whole nature of thought. Is that what you're saying? Or is it beyond that?
Beyond little more.
Yes.
All right, let's take that. Perception sees the nature of thought.
Yes.
And because it perceives the nature of thought, it's all this.
All the
fragments.
parts are in there. All the, yes, I get that.
That's clear.
Because, well, that brings up a question which I wanted to ask for some time. You see, because in the Indian book Tradition and Revolution, you mention toward the end of it the notion of essence, that perception distills the essence. Right?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, well.
Sorry. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I wanted to... you see it, so in some way there seemed to be a notion, there is perception, you see, total perception being intelligence, and see, out of that came what you call the essence. It was distilled like the flower,
Yes.
Now, is that essence anything like this whole...
That's what that it is, of course.
Yes.
Now wait a minute, I want to get this clear to myself. Would you say there is no perception of fear, greed, envy, belief, but total perception
Yes.
of everything that thought has put together and the center?
Well, it's total... You see, there's a phrase that people sometimes use, essence and totality, you see, to perceive
The essence
and totality.
perceive the essence and totality.
Does that seem appropriate?
I'm hesitating the word essence.
Essence is bothering. Yes, well, yes, you... So let's say we perceive the totality.
Leave the word essence for the moment.
Yes.
There is no partial greed, envy, and all that. It is total perception.
Yes.
And therefore, total perception means all the things that thought has put together and made itself separate, center.
Well, we have to, yes, but now when we talk about total perception,
Yeah.
so we have to make it more clear now.
Yeah.
Because total may just mean, all these things, or it may mean something else, no?
To me, it means something else.
Yes, now we could make that more clear.
It means not fragment kuno, not total perception. So wouldn't total perception mean this? Thought attributing to itself certain qualities, thought creating the center and giving to that center certain quality attributes, and all the things from the center, psychological center,
Well, that's the whole structure.
the whole structure,
Yes, that's part of total perception, is the whole structure.
the whole of that.
The whole entire structure.
Yeah,
But that's very often what we call the essence, the basic structure.
yeah, all right. If you call that essence, I
Yeah.
say I agree.
Yes. I mean, that structure which is universal, would you agree that it's not just this thought or this problem or that
It
problem?
is universal, quite.
Yes.
Yes. Now wait a minute. Is such a perception possible? You may not think. You say that is perception, nothing else. Because you tell me, I see that. I feel that. I recognize. I see the truth of what you're saying. The truth of what you're saying is the truth, not mine or yours. It is the truth.
Yes. Now, if you say the truth is, if you say it's the truth, it's that which is. You see, right?
That which is actual.
Yes. Well, it's both. You see, I'm trying to get a little more clear that when we say that there is truth and there is actuality, now you see, the way we ordinarily use the word, the actual is really the right way for using the word individual. You see, it would seem to me the individual, the actuality is individual. You see,
Yes,
undivided.
Undivided.
But
yes, individual, undivided. Quite.
see, actuality is undivided, but there's one moment of actuality, and or there may be another moment of actuality, and so on. But now, when we see the essence, or when we see the totality, or the universal,
Yes.
what is necessary and universal,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Then that includes all that, right?
All that.
So
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So that the truth goes beyond the individual actual fact,
Yes.
because it sees the total. It sees what is universal and necessary, the totality of the nature of thought. Right?
Thought. Totality of the nature of thought.
Right.
That's enough.
So that every individual example of thought is in there.
That's right. That's right. When that is seen, my thought is then merely mechanical.
Well, then thought acknowledges
That's
it
it.
is mechanical. It's a thought.
No, thought doesn't have to acknowledge.
It is mechanical. Yes, all
it
right.
is
Thought is
mechanical.
changed so that it is mechanical.
Yeah.
And thought no longer attributes to itself. Rather, I want to put it out. The thought ceases to attribute to itself,
That's
but
right.
non-mechanical.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's what actually took place.
Right. That's when.
Probably from the beginning of this boy.
Yes.
It was all, how shall we say, unrealized. You follow?
Right,
Not
yeah.
unrealized. It was there,
It was implicit.
implicit. Yeah, whatever you like to say.
Well, all right. Perhaps it was implicit in everybody when he's born, but then it gets the conditioning
I
take.
question when it is implicit with everybody.
All right, now let's get it clear. You see, there are two views. You see, we have to get it.
We go from one.
I mean, well, that's what we're discussing the other day, here. I mean, so we could take two views and consider them both. You see,
Yeah.
one view is that it's implicit in everybody, and then the conditioning takes hold in most people, and it's lost, right?
That's very dangerous.
I know, but that's one
I know,
view.
and that's one.
Why
view.
is it dangerous? No, that's
Dangerous because you then assume there is something in you which is unconditioned.
Well, no, because we say it may be conditioned by now. You see,
No,
But
from childhood.
yeah, that
from the
somebody
very
was
beginning.
born with the unconditioned. It's an assumption, right?
It's an assumption.
All right. So you assume there is in the child something unconditioned. You say that may be false, right?
I think that is false.
All right. So the child, you're suggesting that the child is born with some conditioning, perhaps hereditary.
The genes and the heredity and
Yes,
the
and-
society, it's already there.
And then it gets added to.
Added to, encrusted and thickens.
All right. So that's one view which you want to say you think is wrong. You feel
I
it to be
won't even
wrong.
accept it
You won't accept that view.
because that's a theory.
Yes. All right. Now let's take
Sorry.
the other view. All right. Now you say that this boy was born, and
It sounds personal, it's not.
all right, I know. Yes. You see. Yes. You were saying last week, right, that there was some destiny or some hidden, mysterious order.
Something much more
Then.
than disease,
Yes.
than reincarnation,
Yes.
than what the Theos Maitreya,
Yes.
much the Brahmanical tradition of
Yeah.
mustn't kill, you mustn't do harm, etc. Karma. I think
Yes.
it's much more
Yeah.
something else.
Yes. I
Sorry.
mean, you say there was something else. Now, of course, this idea has also occurred to people, in the past. That there are people who felt that some mysterious force was working in them, and they may have been fooling themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, like you take Alexander the Great. He thought he was a god, and he actually, many people were felt his energy so much that they were ready to do anything with him.
But his energy was spent in conquering.
That's right, in conquering. It was obviously false. you see.
Obviously,
Although-
Napoleon felt that.
That's Napoleon felt it. Perhaps Hitler felt it. I don't know.
Exactly. They're all Mussolini
Yes.
and Stalin.
Yes, and you see that's first I wanted to put it. Just to try to make it clear that feeling may liberate tremendous energy, either falsely or not.
Yes.
Now, it is therefore has danger in it. You see, which we
That's
must
right.
recognize,
That's
right?
That's right.
Now,
That's right.
but nevertheless, you cannot discard that because this energy may still be necessary in spite of the danger in it. Right? In other words, if we recognize that there is danger in this notion, but it doesn't prove the notion is false.
Oh no, of course not.
It doesn't prove
But
it's
it may
true
be
or false.
misused.
It may be misused. You see.
Right.
Now, But suppose now we look at it from the other side, and you say that something mysterious happened, which cannot be explained, which is beyond the order
All
that
the
we
explanation
can,
that
the order that
Brahma-
we can include in thought. You see, let's try to put it that it may
Yes.
be that thought cannot grasp.
Thought did not create a center.
Yes, it did not create a center, but thought cannot grasp why. So let's say thought is ordinarily conditioned to create a center
Yeah.
over the ages.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
A
perfectly.
person may be born, according to you, with the tendency to create the center.
Yes.
And now, but in this case, thought
If
did not create the center. That's what you
That's
say.
right.
And you cannot say why it did not, beyond this mysterious
Yeah.
action.
I wouldn't know.
Now, you say in some sense the boy was protected, is what you said last week.
Protected, guarded. They did everything.
Yeah.
Guard, first
Yeah.
of all.
Yes, well, there was a combination of circumstances which helped, conducive to that.
Conducive, but it doesn't explain.
No, it doesn't explain.
That's
it.
all.
No. Yes, and well, there are several points. We could go on from there. You see, one point is to say that if man is, see, it occurred to me during the week that if, let us say, man has to transform, away from this conditioned existence.
Yeah.
And if he is born conditioned, then there's no way out of it if that's all there is to it. In other words, from this conditioned mind, there can be no way out.
Quite.
Therefore, the only way out would be for somebody to come into existence who is not conditioned,
Yes. Proceed. Yes.
right?
Yep.
Now, therefore, if there is such a person, it would say that does not have any personal significance, right? If you see what I mean.
Yes. Yes.
But it's just a part of the universal
Yes, that's right.
order.
Order.
That it has to, see, like I could give you an example in physics, that in order to crystallize something, you see, let's say something is in solution, and it may be cooled far beyond the point of crystallization or, solidification, unless there's a small nucleus around which it can crystallize. Otherwise, it may remain uncrystallized
Yes.
indefinitely.
Yes.
But that particular nucleus has no special significance other than that it was the place around which
Yes. Quite
crystallization
right.
took place.
Absolutely.
Now, the well, so you could say that perhaps if you were to argue, just for the sake of discussion, that mankind has reached a stage where it is ready, or has been ready for a change, right?
Yes. That's what they. Yes.
Many people have said that. But then it would be necessary, see, it cannot change from the conditioned state,
There must be a catalyst. Somebody.
a nucleus, which is unconditioned.
Unconditioned.
Now, that's the idea that occurred to me anyway.
It's quite.
Well.
Quite.
I mean, whether it's true or not is another, we have to discuss, but, now, see, another question arose. I mean, I think a number of people have begun to ask it, which is, you see, until now, or until recently, you have not been talking in these terms, you see, but rather, emphasizing awareness and of the conditioning and so on.
Yes.
Now, it seems that now you are saying something more
Yes.
or different, and could you say why at this time, you see? Or what?
I wouldn't know.
No.
So.
I mean, why didn't you discuss this point before, is really what I'm getting at.
Oh. Non lo so. So, you see, I'm just going back.
Mm-hmm.
If there is total perception of the nature of thought and all its activities, and therefore the total perception of the content of consciousness, and the content makes a conscious, all the rest of it, that used to be the center.
What?
The content.
Yes. I mean, I think I would look at the center as a form, an empty form around which all these things
Yes.
are
Yeah.
placed. You see it, and they're attributed to the center.
To the that attributed to the center. That's
Attributed
right.
to the center.
Now, when the center is not, in total perception can only exist when the center is not, then consciousness must be totally different.
All right. Yes. Now, what would you say about its nature then?
What would be its nature? See, sir, the center, as you pointed out, is the factor of unification.
Or the attempt? Yeah, that's the.
Attempt, Napoleon, center,
I mean, it's the way people have always tried to unite.
unite. But it hasn't succeeded, never. When the center is not, which is perception of the totality of thought, then therefore center is not. Consciousness must be something quite different.
But does it involve? See, the word consciousness ordinarily would involve the idea of thought. Is it still thought?
There is no thought. Can't be.
Well, what do you call consciousness then?
Then I said it must be something totally different.
Yes.
The consciousness which we have is with the center, with all the content, with all the thought, with all that movement. And when there is total perception of that, that is not
The center is not, yes, and the whole order is different.
different.
Yes, and something I was going to ask. Yes, now, you were also mentioning many times about, say, the brain cells, that it might involve the brain cells working in a different way.
Different way, I think
Perhaps
so.
different brain cells will work, I don't know.
I know, I don't know. I think it works differently.
Yes.
So, maybe what is compassion? Is the center capable of compassion?
Well, I say the center is not capable of anything real.
No.
I mean,
No. Can the center attribute to itself
compassion.
as being compassionate?
it certainly can do that, yes.
It can. Yes, as God, as anything
Yeah.
it can attribute. But if there is no attribution at all, then what is compassion? Is it? Is total perception compassion?
Well, it has to be include the feeling for all.
I should think one of the qualities of total perception, sounds so terrible, is compassion.
As if the center could only have feelings which are attributed to it, so it would have compassion for whatever it's identified with.
Of course.
Uh,
I love you and I don't love others.
Yes.
Quite. Or I love others, but I don't love you.
And anyway, it would have no understanding, and therefore it would have no meaning. But
very interesting, this. We've got somewhere. How would you convey all this to somebody in the tent? He's sentimental, romantic, wanting illusions, myths, fanciful imaginations, problems of sex, of fear, this, and you're telling him something. You follow, sir? And he won't even... Here we've got leisure. We want to go into it. We want to find out. Because we are totally objective about oneself.
Well, that's the, yes.
I think that's where compassion operates. Sorry. Operates, I'm sorry, I withdraw that word.
I mean, that's where it's necessary.
Huh?
It's necessary there. Well, well, you mean by that see, if we're considering what you were saying yesterday now, that of the stream of human thought, you see,
Yes.
that every whatever is is wrong there, it's universal. It belongs to everybody, right?
That's right.
So now you may see something going wrong and you attribute it to somebody. See, the thought attributes it to somebody else, but whenever something is going wrong, it's going wrong in thought.
Yes.
Right? And therefore it's in everybody.
Yes,
Is that
that's
right?
That's right.
That there is no such thing as thought, my thought or your thought.
Oh, God.
It cannot stop. You see, the minute you are thinking it, then I am thinking it. Even if there's no extrasensory thought, it's just by ordinary communication. The structure of your thought is communicated to me. If it's a wrong structure, right, then I'm in the wrong structure of thought. Huh?
Of course.
And then my brain or my thought attributes that wrong structure to you, another center, right?
Yes, quite.
And says this center is all right, or it will try to make it all right. And the other center is wrong. Therefore, there could be no compassion, right? Because then I'm hostile.
Yeah, quite.
I must fight the other center.
That's right, sir.
I must resist the other center, right? It's this center is resisting the other center. The good is in this center, and the bad is in the other center. And therefore, there could be no compassion.
Yes, sir.
But you see, if it's all one thought process, one stream, then then one cannot attribute this to a particular person, and therefore it seems you understand the nature of that thought, and that is compassion, isn't it?
Quite so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you must see that anyone thinking that thought must be suffering. I mean,
Yes, sir. We're going to discuss rather, about the mystery. What is the mysterious? Perhaps it's too late now. This is all religions have made the cathedrals dark.
yes.
The temples are dark, implying that God is mysterious.
Yes.
That there is something so mysterious that you cannot understand. And there have been secret societies, special initiations, all that, through which you went in order to come upon the mysterious. All that is not mysterious.
No, well, that's just imitation.
Imitation, which thought, etc.,
Invents, yeah.
etc. If there was no invention of the mysteriousness of created by thought, is there a mystery?
Well, if you say there's one sense of the mystery is that it cannot be explained or grasped by thought. I mean,
Yes.
that's
And also myths,
myths. Well, myths are an attempt to grasp it by thought. I mean, by
Yes.
poetic thought.
poetic thought. And apparently man has lived with those
Yes.
myths.
Yes, but yes, again, it's the same point we were
Of course, of
discussing
course.
before, that thought is attributing to itself some
The mystery.
the mysterious, and not merely life, but the ultimate mystery.
Mystery, yes, that's right.
In other words, it produces something which it then says is not thought, but the ultimate mystery.
Correct.
And so in some way, you see, people have said that these myths were poetic means by which people grasped something true, but at the same time, it may be that if you use this once as a metaphor, then it would be helpful. But when you repeat it,
Of course.
then it becomes a... But wouldn't it remain true that it's saying that that which is cannot be grasped
Yeah.
in thought? You
Thought. That's right. Anything, but the mystery of it.
Yes.
We must discuss that some other time. It's
Well,
time.
perhaps there isn't really time. It's 5:15 now.
We better stop.
Mm-hmm.
We can go on next
Go on
Friday.
next time. Friday you want to go on.
Yeah.
Is that all right? I mean,
Of course.
it doesn't bother you that you have a discussion in the morning?
Oh, wait a minute. Discussions don't tire me so much as a sustained talk.
And 2 hours the next day and the day before.
Maybe we leave it open.
Right, but yes, well, we have to be leaving on, I think,
Ah.
Sunday or Monday, you see, and so we should try to set, if
All
you
right.
could, I
You
don't know,
leave on. You fix your day.
Well, no, I really don't want to put any strain on you. You see,
No.
of leaving.
When are you leaving?
Well, we haven't fixed the date exactly, but I think we originally planned to leave on Monday, didn't
Monday. That would be on the 4th, is it?
we? Is that it? 4th.
We could stay one more.
We
No.
could stay one more day if you really want
No.
to have a discussion. What?
What?
The discussions have ended. The 4th is free.
Sunday, the discussions end on Sunday. Now, would you be ready the following day?
Or Sunday, because there is no discussion the next day.
Oh, it's the next day that you're concerned with.
Yeah.
right?
No, I have discussions.
But when they're finished,
On Sunday morning they're finished.
then you feel that you would be able in the
I
afternoon.
can do it on Sunday or more afternoon.
Right.
4 hours talking.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
We can stay.
We can wait one more day, and
No, don't. We can arrange this. Sunday afternoon at 3:30. Then
right.